when you're playing a particular sport, it's not like you have the talent and you're not going to train hard, right? You're always going to find ways to train a little more or run that 100-meter a little faster. Welcome back, guys. And today we're looking at a very interesting topic. And so, if you haven't already, please subscribe. It helps me a lot in terms of growing the channel and also reaching a wider audience. And so, I would really need your support on that. Yeah, so let's get right into it. I say entrepreneurship is a sport, and I say this because I have conviction that entrepreneurship isn't just something to be put on a pedestal. It isn't just some certificate that you get. It isn't some medal that you get, but it's a journey and a process because you're always trying to refine yourself. You're always trying to grow. You're always trying to learn. That hunger for growth and learning is always something that helps you build upon and kind of grow upon. So it's just like sport because, like, for example, I play cricket, and I'm always trying to refine my shots, or I'm always trying to get better at bowling, or I'm always trying to get better at wicket keeping. Whatever I do, I always try to do the best at it. And every game that I play, I'm always trying to tweak a few things here and there to ensure that I don't do the same mistake that I did the last game. So it's the same way in entrepreneurship. Every day is not the same because you only really get to work on 30% of what you actually plan to do, and it's scary. And on the rest 70%, I'm 100% sure that there's some problem or the other that pops up on that particular day, and you have to be a firefighter. You have to solve those issues. You have to bring in sales. You have to bring in your teams. You have to ensure your teams are working efficiently, or someone's off and then you have to fill in that particular role, or you yourself as a founder has to like fill in multiple hats in terms of managing different tasks because you don't have everyone in place yet. So entrepreneurship is hard, and it can get really lonely at times because no matter how much you might have a coach, or no matter how much you might have a counselor or someone to help you outside, or a mentor, or whoever you seem to like look up to, that can only take you so far because they're not going to come hold your hand and do things for you. So that's where it really gets difficult. And I want to really talk about something that's very important is stress management in entrepreneurship, because when you don't manage your stress in the right way, it reflects in your work, it reflects in your behavior, it reflects in your problem solving techniques, it reflects in your creativity, and that really puts you down because last week I was going through a tough situation where I had certain issues that came up, and what it did was it just threw me off guard. And when it threw me off guard, it doesn't allow you to plan your next steps because you really have to dive deep into finding that root cause of that issue and try to actually solve that issue before you go ahead and solve other things, or bring in new updates, or bring in new upgrades, or bring in that new employee into this role, or because you as the entrepreneur, your vision for the company, no one else is going to take that vision and work as hard as you do. So you have to lead the way in that front. So mental health isn't just something that's looked upon as, oh, am I happy, or am I doing the right thing here and there. It's a lot more because it demands you to work, learn. It demands you to also take care of your physical health. And so sports ties in a lot to this, because when you're playing a particular sport, it's not like you have the talent and you're not going to train hard, right? You're always going to find ways to train a little more, or run that 100-meter a little faster, to ensure that you're more agile on the field, or you're more dedicated on the field. And so whatever sport it is, you always have little chunks where you know that you have to improve on these areas, and you're always finding those ways to tweak and ensure that you're reaching at least close to 100%, because you can never reach that full 100%. It's that perfection is very difficult, and perfection can often be a roadblock to success, because once you start looking at refining just that one thing, you're not looking at all your strengths, because you might have 100 strengths and only 20 weaknesses, but if you're looking at 20 weaknesses over and overweighing that 20 weaknesses and focusing only on that, your strengths are also going to start depleting and diminishing, right? So you've got to really work hard on that. And I think because when you are dealing with a startup, or when you are dealing with something that's new, there's a lot of unknowns already in that factor. So when you're trying to factor in all those steps along the way, it becomes more harder and more difficult to manage it if you cannot manage your mental health and your stress. So that kind of leads into a lot of other issues where you're not able to manage your team properly, or you have a lot of thought processes going in. So I always say that it's important to have a way to vent out, right? Whether that's at the gym, whether that's meeting family and being able to speak to them openly about things, whether it's about having friends around you to kind of de-stress you. You need to have a way to let go of stress, and I ideally think, no, for different people it could be different things. I've always been involved in sports a lot, so for me, I really love getting on the playing field, whether it be table tennis, football, or cricket, or whatever it is. I'd love to get into a sport where I'm able to take my mind and actually just look at that particular game, or and get into that game as full as possible, and that takes your mind off of a lot of other things because you're in control. And when you're in control, you're starting to realize, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can plan this. And you start looking at the things that you can actually do, because it's always about those micro wins for you to achieve that bigger success. And at the same time, if you have those micro losses, doesn't mean you've lost the whole game, because you could still have those micro losses, and at the end, in the outset of things, still have a big success, because you've learned from it, you've grown from it, and you've adapted, and you've actually gotten back much stronger and been able to perform at the last real given time. So entrepreneurship really requires that resilience, and resilience doesn't just come automatically to anyone. And I don't think I would have been at this situation or at this place of resilience if I hadn't been in sales for the past 6 to 7 years. Because 6 to 7 years of sales and door to door or cold calling and all these all the hardcore selling teaches you a lot. And when you get rejected, and you're working, let's say, for example, insurance brokers, when you're dealing with people actually swear at you to put the phone down. No, it's not just, oh yeah, we don't need it. It's abusive language, and it's literally in your ears, and you pick up that first phone call and someone says that puts you off for the whole day. But you can't let it get to you. You have to build a wall. You have to look at ways to actually overcome those situations. I think when you start looking at entrepreneurship like a sport, it becomes a winner, because it's a process, it's a journey. And when you're trying to always refine something, and when you're trying to get better at something, you're always trying to learn, whether it's from the people around you or whether it's from the associate who you just hired. It doesn't matter, because you're learning as you keep going. And as you keep learning, you're also going to impart knowledge to other people and provide value to other people. And I think that's where you need to see entrepreneurship as, because once we start putting entrepreneurship on a pedestal and seeing that, oh, I've become an entrepreneur, I've become a business owner, so that's it for me, and I've achieved that success. That's a milestone, because that's the start of something new. Are you going to continue that? Or are you going to continue that impact and grow with that? That's where you can actually make the change. So if you really want to break it down, now I'm going to go into little factors why I think entrepreneurship is a sport, right? So you look at it, entrepreneurship is very goal oriented, and whether that's numbers, it's a numbers game or a numbers driven, like when you look at customers or when you're looking at sales, you're always like, oh, it's a numbers game. Now when you're looking at sports, for example, the primary objective is to win, and obviously you're going to do everything it takes to win on the field, and you're going to give it your all. And that's what we need when we set out to do let's say, for example, when I set out to start up, I wasn't thinking about how I could fail. I was thinking about all the ways I could succeed. I was thinking about all the ways I could set goals and targets so that I could achieve a certain level of revenue and then market share and then customer satisfaction. I was looking at all of these things to ensure that I can actually perfect that ecosystem that I'm trying to build, right? And so that's what we're looking at. And then the next step is kind of working around to build a team, because when we have a team, that's when we're strong. We need people to support us. We need people around us. And I think that's where a relationship, or having a spouse um that's really motivating you, or having a family that motivates you, having friends that motivate you, that really comes into your strengths. Because if you have people who support you, never let them go, because they might be critical at certain points, and that's fine, and you might have not given ear to that. That's okay. But at the same time, take a lot of things that they're saying, people who are close to you and who you consider and value close to you, take a lot of what they say into a positive manner, or like try to understand um how you can actually constructively work on criticisms, right? And so, because sport, like just as sport, you need that network of people to ensure that you're obtaining that last bit of success. Because even if you are an 11 member team, there's still, you need that 11 people on the field, like on that field, to perform at a certain level to actually win that game on that particular day. So you need a lot of things to go your way. It can't be just that one person. So, but then when you're looking at entrepreneurship, you have a lot of things working towards you or against you or whatever, and you are standing up to actually solve issues, but you can't do that alone. Because you definitely and for sure you have a team, whether that's freelancers, whether whoever it is, right? However capacity or whatever capacity that they're in, there's always a way you can bring in your team and actually motivate them to work towards their goals and successes and so on. So to build a successful business, you need to do that homework. You need to do that research of building that right ecosystem for the team members as well. Because it's very simple to say, you take care of your employees will take care of your customers. But to actually practically do that on a daily basis, then that's where like things like mental health and things like you zoning in into your vision and success is really important. Because when you get blocked by obstacles, you're going to start showing that stress in certain ways. And that's ideally, like when you're like, for me, when I was a manager, or when I was handling my sales teams, my initial thought process was always to soak in as much of pressure and not release that pressure into my team. And why did I do that? Because the moment I start releasing pressure into the team, and when the team starts feeling that pressure, they're not going to perform. It's very difficult to get them to perform. So screaming at them, yelling at them, swearing at them is not going to help, right? Dead center is not going to help. And that's where you need to have empathy for your employees, and put yourself in those in their shoes, and try to understand how can you actually betterment those. So what I would do, I would pick up the phone and start calling. I would start working or doing some of their work, and seeing what's the actual issues that they're facing, right? And so that's where teamwork is really important. And if you start thinking, oh yeah, I'm the business owner and you are my team, I've hired you to do the certain things, if that's the way you look at it, then you're not looking at it as a team sport, right? That's why I say entrepreneurship is a sport, because you cannot do it alone. No matter how good you think you are, you really cannot do it alone. And trust me on that. Like, I've tried, and I'm sure even if I keep trying to do things by myself, I wouldn't be able to, right? So that's and then it comes down to like strategically planning things. Now, when you're strategically planning things, and when your team has certain strategies and inputs and so on, in that team environment, there's no judgment for all the inputs that you're getting. So you want to be able to outperform the other team. You want to be able to outperform your competitors. And so in terms of when you're looking at it in the entrepreneurship game, you're looking at other businesses and you're looking at other marketing plans. You're looking at a lot of different tactics. What is going to work? You just don't know. But it's always good to brainstorm with the team, and it's always good to plan and strategically think about things with the teams as well, because it gives a wider perspective to whoever is working with you guys. So the exercise that I like to do is, again, I go back to sales because sales has been a big part of my life, is breaking down things into daily tasks, but not just breaking down tasks into smaller things, but like breaking tasks into smaller packets of 1 hour achieving like goals or targets, like milestones. Now, as you keep hitting those milestones on an hourly basis, you keep thinking you always keep thinking that you're winning, and then at the end, you know that you've done all the processes in place, that you've put in all the hard work and process. So obviously at the end of the day, you're going to obtain the success. And even if you didn't, that could be just an one-off day, or maybe 2 days, and that's it, because you've done that hard work, and that hard work is going to take you far enough. And so it's consistency that really helps. And so, like, like I say in a lot of where I like in terms of when you've started up, it's really important to also try to be adaptable to certain things, because market and when you're in business, everything is changing every time. Technology is changing. Technology is moving so fast. And so you have what's updated today might be might be something completely different tomorrow. So you never really know. So it's always good to be in the forefront of things, but at the same time always vision and like have a thought process of like what could actually change. So always look forward for things that are going to change, because that helps you. It keeps you on your toes, and also keeps you moving, because you know that if this changes, then like you also need to understand what are the moving parts in your business. Right? In the same way a team functions in sport, what are your moving parts in the business? So who's having what role within this entity that you've created, or the team that you've created, right? Who's playing what role? And how can we strategically work to figure out not just my weaknesses, but focus on your strength, because you might have a 10-member team. Everybody has a strength. So focus on everyone's strength. And I think all their strengths put together will defeat everyone's weakness, and just overcome their weaknesses. Like, ignore the weaknesses and just focus on your strengths, and focus on that, and try to bring out an output and see if that works. If that doesn't work, then try to refine a few more things. Look at some weaknesses that could be tweaked, and maybe then you could step it up into a strength, balance it out and push forward, and actually dedicate yourself to doing that 100%, and you will obtain that success. And or even if you don't, you're playing the long game here, because at the end of the day, it's not just micro winning, it's micro losses for macro wins, right? It's not micro successes and then a macro loss. So it could be that, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're always trying to solve problems, and the whole process is to keep improving and learning, and have the hunger for learning, because the moment that hunger for learning stops, everything fails, right? That's a lot of talking. So yeah, so and then and through all these process, you'll have a lot of things. You need to have resilience, and I think a lot of these things come back to the point where you need to build that resilience. So if you are a founder, do your sales calls, try to understand what the business requires. Even if you are in like a sales oriented role, understand the business in and out before you go ahead and train your employees, and before you go ahead and bring the right people for those roles. Because once you know the business in and out, no one can defeat you in your game. And so there's always, like, when you say entrepreneurship, there's always going to be risks. There's always going to be things that you're going to take, like risks that you're going to take, or you're going to fail in a few things. That's okay. And it's okay to fail, and that's where it's really important to have a place where you can vent all those stress out. Or no, and if it is, because for me it's been sports, and I always love to play around or go hit the gym. And so you need to have an outlet and have a place where you can do that and look for continuous improvement. And so, not leadership or building teams is not just about that, but like, creating those key places where you really need someone, and having those people to actually propel you forward. Because as the, like, for example, you're only going to grow as good as how your team is, right? If you think that you can achieve everything by yourself, that's completely wrong, right? If your team is amazing, if it's an amazing team, they're gonna build that foundation so strong that so they can lift you up, and you're gonna lead that team forward. And on that note, I'm gonna end it there. So this is my thoughts, and this is how I look at entrepreneurship. And that's why I think entrepreneurship is beautiful, because, when you combine entrepreneurship as a sport, you're looking to always keep yourself in the forefront of things, and you're always looking to fight, compete, and keep that hunger for learning. And so, yeah, guys, so if you're looking to go into starting a business, I would say 100% go for it, but go for it with the mindset that it's for the long game, and not something to just get that entrepreneurship title, right? Not just that founder CEO, not just, I'm heading this team, this is my business, right? It's so much more than that. No, you only grow when you provide value to others. Your value grows when you provide value to others. And with that note, I'm ending off and signing off here. Cheers, guys. Take care.